PVZ Fusion is a pretty popular Plants vs. Zombies fan game. The game's development began on May 8, 2024, created by Bluefly. It's a Chinese fan game. No, it's not a mod, it's made from the ground up by Unity. It's honestly no surprise that it's from China, as mostly every great PVZ fan game is from that country at this point. The PVZ Chinese community is living life while we're starving, to be honest. I feel quite envious. But anyway, PVZ Fusion caught my eye with the fact that it's genuinely insane. There are over 400 fusions and more that you could do. I wish I was able to talk about every single one of them, but obviously I can't. I would be here for hours at a time. PVZ Fusion is the one of many fan games that are played and talked about a lot among the community. But have you ever wondered why? Of course, every game has its cons, but there's a reason Fusion is so playable in the first place. PVZ Fusion can be considered one of the most interesting PVZ fan games of all time, and here's why. I believe PVZ has a specific rule sheet for when it comes to level design, that a lot of fan games respectfully don't really understand. Starting with Rule 1, I call it, let's not rush. What this means is that in a PVZ level, you should have a reasonable amount of time to be able to prepare some sort of defense at the beginning. The game won't hit you with multiple zombies at once, which is what certain fan games are infamous for. Have a look at my garden list video and its flawed level design and you will understand exactly what I mean. I think some creators believe that a PVZ level has to be difficult, and the way to do that is to overwhelm the player with an overwhelming amount of zombies. PVZ Fusion doesn't necessarily do this. With the earlier game, they start off with 1 or 2 zombies, maybe more, and over time the zombie count will increase, spawning in higher numbers, where by the time the first wave is coming, it does start off as difficult, with the last wave ending up as super satisfying. Rule 2, I would say, is about balance. This connects to managing difficulty in PVZ games in general, like Rule 1. The game will hit you with harder zombies. For example, the Zombarine in Adventure is introduced as a pretty tough zombie, having 1350 toughness to be exact. But in that exact same level, we're also able to fuse Tangle Kelp and 3-Peter to use the Kelp Spreader, who can shoot kelp bullets that deal high damage, as well as adding 1 tangle value to a zombie, instantly killing it whenever a tangle value is full, with the limit being 30. Or how the Mechanut zombie, a tough zombie walnut that can bounce like a bowling ball and squash your zombies, is countered by Umbrella Leaf's fusions. Though, these are just a few examples. I could use many, trust me. The plants are clearly very interesting, but that's for another segment. Plants in general can go against many zombies. Once you reach further into the game and you encounter the harder ones, you can use high damage plants in favor. There's a fair symmetry between plants and zombies. The best part is you won't see yourself using the same plants over and over again. There are endless opportunities, and the game doesn't force you to have to default to the same plant combo over and over and over again. The game doesn't get old. And the last rule, I would call it long and fun. First of all, that's what she said. Second of all, I talk about this a lot, but what PVZ2 fails to do in their levels is to make the game feel strategic, and part of that is to give the player an ability to even get a strategy to use in the first place. If your levels are 2 to 4 minutes long like how PVZ2 levels are, you're not gonna have time to get anything in place. You'll feel rushed almost, and you'll have to resort to plant spam to defend yourself from zombie spam. But a PVZ Fusion level can be pretty long. To give you an idea, a level could be around 5 to 7 minutes long, maybe even more. That is a lot compared to a PVZ2 level. It is around the same length as the first PVZ game, which makes sense. This makes all the levels much more memorable. I will admit some of these levels can feel a bit repetitive unless you change it up a little bit. Like I said with the second rule, the game does not need you to use the same plants in every level, with every new day introducing new mechanics, such as the magnetic system, where when a plant is within a 3x3 range of another magnetic plant, they are in the same system, where certain magnet shroom fusions will gain buffs and new effects the larger your system is. Like Star-Lore, a fusion of magnet shroom and starfruit, which can also fuse with buckets, pickaxes, or jack-in-the-boxes to turn into different plants. The point is, you will not get bored with these levels. There are 45 adventure levels in total. In comparison, PVZ1 has more with 50. The game does have difficulty levels. If it's not obvious from my first playthrough, I did the first difficulty, the casual mode. There are 6 difficulties. You know it's bad when one of the difficult titles is, quote, "Are you sure?" The difficult levels are difficult. that's for sure. They're cartoonishly hard, but by this point you would obviously need more complex fusions in order to survive at all. Like I said in the beginning, there are a lot of plants, but obviously I can't go over every single one of them here unfortunately, but I can give you an idea of how they work and how great they really are. Like I mentioned in Rule 2 of Fusion's effective level design, the plants are very unique, and the fusions are separated by many different categories. Let's start off with the main fusion types, consisting of 6. So one of the types, the infusible fusions, are just non-fusion formulaic plants. They're not that important. Let's concentrate on the 4 types of fusions first. The common fusions are the basic ones, where you fuse 2 basic plants together to form a plant. Just because they're common though, doesn't mean they cannot be strong. You'd be surprised. The game doesn't expect you to use them in hardest levels I'll tackle in a bit, but plants like Frost Shroom, who deals twice as much damage as Fume Shroom, Magneto Cactus, who can deal high damage to zombies with metal objects or armor, Flame Cattail, doubled cattail damage, or the best of the best, Pyro Cannon, who deals double Cop Cannon's damage as well as inflaming other zombies around the missile area, aren't as bad as you may think. The second types of fusions are the upgraded ones, which can be considered a little more powerful than the common fusions. These upgraded fusions involve combining base plants or zombie-related items, like buckets, football helmets, jack-in-the-box boxes, or pickaxes, with common fusions, which turns them into other plants. For example, sometimes a bucket zombie can drop a bucket and you can turn a pea shooter into a bug pea, which will deal 80 damage and can knock zombies back. Or a football zombie can drop a helmet and you can upgrade a Tana to double its health. Or other parts that you can unlock from other zombies, or someone like the Magnet Flower, a combination of sunflower and magnet shroom, who can produce metal objects that you can fuse with plants. Or, one of the more interesting mechanics that you're introduced to further on in Adventure Mode, Golden Fusions. This isn't a fusion type, this is a sub-fusion of the upgraded fusions. It involves combining marigolds to turn certain plants into silver ones, and once they do, you can use golden beans for 1000 coins, which turns them into golden plants, which are upgraded versions of their former base plants. Clearly, the upgraded fusions have a lot more compared to the common ones. Next, we have the advanced fusions. There are only 12 of these, and they're considered the second to last more efficient fusions in Adventure Mode. These fusions can't be unlocked through level progression though, but rather the challenges, where you have to beat levels using said fusions. These fusions require 3 base plants rather than 2. Now these plants are extremely effective and high damage, like the Salad Pot, who's a combination of kernel, cabbage, and melon. It can deal 140 damage, as well as splitting into several other projectiles upon impact that can butter or cause even more damage. These are great fusions that I find myself using a lot throughout the adventure levels. And lastly, for the adventure exclusive fusions, we have the Titan ones. These are the big boys, if it's not obvious by the designs. They do work similar to the advanced ones, as they require 3 base plants, though the pattern is more specific and a little less simplistic, like how the Gallantly P turret requires 2 repeaters and 1 3-beater to form this Mega Gallantly Beast, though they require an original plan by the end of the pattern to really work, the Jika Magiker, which you place in the middle of this pattern to create these said Titan fusions. These plants, believe it or not, aren't that hard to create if you think about it. Something like the Giant Chomper only requires 3 chompers to create it. These fusions are the best of the best. The last type of fusions honestly connect to a segment for later, the Odyssey fusions. These are the plants that non-PVZ Fusion players look at and think to themselves, what the hell am I looking at? These plants are exclusive to strictly the Odyssey mode, a creative stage in PVZ Fusion that I'll get to in a little bit. Don't worry. What I love about this game is the fact that plant synergy in the game, if it's not obvious, is heavily incorporated. Like stacking plants in multiple rows or lanes builds up for higher damage, or the introduction of systems like I mentioned in my first segment, or how you can use currency in order to create stronger plants. All these fusion families and types are so unique in their own ways, and the fact that there's endless possibilities in creating plants really makes this game so much more interesting and unique than a lot of other fan games. And the best part? There are upcoming fusions coming as well, so it just keeps getting better and better. The Zen Garden is very different from the original game's garden, in many different ways. First of all, the Zen Garden isn't mainly just a mode to take care of plants on flower pots, but it's also its own set of gameplay as well in a set of challenge games called Garden Defense. This involves using plants from your Zen Garden's first page's 4th row to defend your lawn. There are challenge modes for this, as well as one called Garden Defense, the Gods. This one is crazy, and when PVZ Fusion really starts to become a little insane. Just look at the amount of zombies that you have to fight. It works differently from the other garden defense levels where you have to use your plants from your 2nd to 4th rows to fight these huge armies of zombies. In the Zen Garden, you can typically fuse plants together, or buy plants from the shop, which are typically random. Though for me personally, I keep getting the same plants over and over again, so I have to stick to grinding to hopefully get new sprouts and combine them together. When you buy these set plants or fuse them to get the stronger fusions, it's recommended to grow them until their favorability is up to 100%. The more you take care of these plants, the stronger they will be in battle. The Zen Garden is practically its own game, and I love that. There's another section that's similar to the Zen Garden, a very unique game mode, and one of my favorites in terms of creativeness. The Grand Garden. There's a lot of tackle with this. Gameplay wise, the Grand Garden itself is very different from other modes in Fusion. You play as a zombie where you keep a large garden, and trust me, it's pretty large. You can't unlock plants through playing levels like you can in the original Zen Garden. You can either transfer Zen Garden plants into the Grand Garden, or you can buy plants you want on the seed shop, and depending on the type of fusion is how much they would cost. Obviously, a Titan or Odyssey fusion would cost more than a basic or advanced one. I have a massive garden if it's not obvious. You can organize them into sections or just keep them a jumbled mess like how I did. I'm clearly not very good at organizing. Similar to the Zen Garden's defense, you can use these set plants for a game mode called Harvest Mode. It's a very risky mode that involves a timer. You actually have to pay in order to play, which is why it's considered so risky. The point of this mode is that when a zombie is defeated, it may drop a random plant card. These drop plants can be added to your loadout, and you have to evacuate all plants that you brought into battle, and you'll win twice the amount you spent to play the level in the first place. In order to evacuate these said plants, you can do a regular evacuation where all plants obtained in your backpack will be kept and you'll win the game, or a drop bag one where it will delete all plants obtained in your backpack but keep the ones you put in your safety box, part of the brutal and purgatory difficulty. Oh my goodness, these difficulties make me want to rip my hair out. The zombie spam in these levels are insane. I know I was glazing the level design a bit ago, but you have to remember that in these difficulties, the levels expect you to have already grown Odyssey or Advanced Fusions by then. Both the Harvest Mode and Garden Defense levels are a good example of how much replay value this game really has. Once you finish Adventure Mode, there's still a lot to do afterwards. You will not get bored. The Gods and Harvest Mode are one of the most creative modes out there, and I love the difficulty. On top of the Zen Garden having 2 game modes, there's also 2 new modes in the challenges that you're able to play. The 10 Flag Challenge and Starbound Adventure. Let's start with the 10 Flag Challenges. You know how I said fusion levels could be pretty long? Well, these 10 flag challenges are perfect when you want levels longer than the adventure ones. This involves beating levels with a whopping 10 flags, meaning levels are around 7 to 8 minutes long now. Waves of zombies get progressively harder and harder, like they do in typical levels. I think they're good to play when you're bored and want to entertain yourself a little while watching a movie or a documentary or something, unless you stress yourself out and try the 10 flags in the Are You Sure difficulty. You will be very entertained then. You can play Day Through Roof. Even a Zombot anyone, Star Drop completely carried these levels. It's a fusion of Luministar. Luministar is a mix of Plantain and Starfruit, and a Magnet Shroom. You can also do the other way around, but this is the order I use the most. The Star Drop stars can direct to any zombie in front of it, as well as it has a meter that will drop star meteors each time it fills up. Anyway, there are 6 new levels apart from the ones mentioned, though most of them do have their issues, at least personally. 10 Flag Night Disco. This just involves a bunch of pole vaulting and disco zombies that are super scary, by the way. To give you an idea, they're called Michael zombies who spawn in dancing pole vaulters. These dancing pole vaulters can summon backup pole vaulters when vaulting over. Yeah, these are the most annoying zombies ever. Then 10 Flag Scaredy Dream. To be honest with you, I was a little confused on how this worked exactly. The game kind of fails to explain what you're supposed to do, which is really aggravating. I had to use a guide on YouTube, but I'm wondering how exactly they figured it out. You have a random Scaredy Shroom in one of your lanes, and it's the only one that can attack zombies. No other plants can. I guess Scaredy Shroom can make other attack plants bounce off of one another? At least that's what I saw. It's like a pipe system, I guess. Then, we have Equivalent Exchange. This involves a lot of RNG, which is where the problems come in. Whenever the 3 chompers you're given eats a zombie, you'll randomly earn a plant in your plant storage that you can use in battle to fight against other random zombies. And yes, they're random. You can be in the easiest difficulty and you don't know if you'll do good or not because everything is randomized. Goodbye strategy, and hello hoping you get the best plants possible. Plus is this minigame does force you to act smart with certain plants, but I don't really like how randomized it is. Which leads me to the 10 flag gacha levels, which are all about RNG. A zombie gacha level where all the zombies are randomized. Once the unknown one is dead, it'll reveal whatever zombie. I think it's obvious why this is bad gameplay. Spawning in random zombies that you might not be prepared for is not fun. Guess what, game? Randomly shoving gargantuars near the lawnmowers is not good level design. Plant gacha is the same way, but just a little easier, where you can only use gift boxes, aka random plants. They give you a lot of sun, so you can honestly spam and eventually organize yourself once you get the best plants together. Then there's multi gacha, where everything is random. Sheesh, I think you can see how insane this can be. Who would have known having a mix of RNG and RNG would be a little crazy. I know I was praising Fusion's level design, but it's definitely faulty here and in other instances as well. Then there's Starbound Adventure. You'll never get bored playing PVZ Fusion when not only is there an endless amount of gameplay opportunities, but there's an entirely different adventure mode. But it works differently than the normal one. Levels are progressed using stars. Now for each chapter, there are main stories and there are side stories. When you progress through the main story is when you unlock the basic plants. Then there's the side stories, where they are individual games separate from the usual adventure levels. Like Zombotany or Zombies vs Zombies, where you play as hypnotized zombies rather than plants. Call them like you see them. It's Raining Seeds, Attack on Gargantua, where you only for Gargantuars and Mecha Gargs. You get the gist. A lot of different minigames. Whatever stars you unlock with the side stories, not only can you use it to progress through chapters, but for upgrades as well. You can also unlock perks that can benefit your plants or your gameplay in general, whether it's increasing attack speed or damage of certain plants, increasing crit chances, damage reduction, and more. As well as being able to do tasks in made stories that will give you those similar perks. I will admit that some of these levels aren't that great in terms of level design. I do like the concept itself and the idea of incorporating perks and star progression, but zombie spam. A lot of you viewers know that sometimes I might randomly mention PVZ Fusion and its cons throughout videos, and you were probably confused. Well, first of all, I was technically wrong. After playing Fusion Adventure, the level design there isn't that bad. But some Starbound levels, on the other hand, break the rules that make other Fusion levels good in the first place. Not only do they rush in zombies, but they rush in high HP ones as well. I'm assuming it's because you're meant to upgrade perks so your plants and lawn get tougher, but the zombie spam gets a little too relentless before you get enough stars in the first place to upgrade further. Let's not be too negative though. I think Starbound is really creative, and I really like that not only can you play normal adventure mode, Fusion offers its own special level progression that I haven't seen before in a fan game. Not only does it offer a separate adventure mode though, it also has its own extra world, the snow levels. Now these are pretty good, I would say. It works a lot like Frostbite Caves from PVZ2 in terms of mechanics, gimmicks, etc. Rather than Hot Potato though, you have the Furnace. The furnace can either be placed on top of a plant so it's immune to becoming frozen, or placed on ice cubes. Ice cubes, like in Frostbite Caves, trap plants and work as 3000 HP obstacles for both plant but zombie projectiles as well. When a furnace is placed on top of an ice block, it will melt the block over time like I mentioned, dealing 200 damage every 3 seconds to whatever ice cube is on the bottom. Plants can become ice blocks through blizzards that happen during waves. These ice blocks can become critters when eaten. I don't know what this thing is, guys. Honestly, I took advantage of the jalapeno fusions. They cannot get frozen at all. They carry pretty hard. Or other plants that are introduced, like the spruce sharpshooter from day 2. A piercing plant that can penetrate ice cube zombies, ignore armor, and cannot get frozen by blizzards. You can combine a sharpshooter with a furnace to turn it into a spruce furnace. though it's pretty useless to do so, as all it does is affect the 3x3 area only temporarily, 150 seconds, since it will go back into a normal furnace afterwards. In fact, most fusion plants that involve furnace are pretty much the same. Day 3 introduces the Shamina, a melee plant that can rotate its blades and deal 8 damage every 0.02 seconds. There's not many melee plants in the first PVZ, so it can be considered a pretty unique plant. You can even make a twin Shamina, which is pretty neat since one will throw a saw, while the other continues to work as a regular Shamina. Then, Snow Lotus, Day 4's plant, is more of a gimmicky one. It can get one charge every 10 seconds, or when hit by cannons or tridents. Once it consumes 5 charges, it can wake up and heal all plants within a 3x3 area for 50 HP every 3 seconds. It does have low health though, so putting it in front of certain plants is a little silly, as it will die pretty easily. At least it does well with certain fusions. The Aqua Aloe, on the other hand, is similar to Snow Lotus, but I consider it a little better. No, it doesn't work like PVZ2's Aloe, not at all actually. It can gain energy charge similar to Snow Lotus, though normally it can lob 20 damage dewdrops every 3 seconds, but with whatever charge it has, it can lob solid ice cubes that will deal 2 times that damage. The bam block on level 6 is level 6 in general is as there's now these snowballs that come in and can instantly kill your plant or lower its health depending on its HP. And this level spams these blocks. You will suffer if you're above casual mode. Bam block will instantly kill any zombie with less health than itself. It has 1500, but it'll take damage equal to its zombie HP. I also decided to play the spray shooter challenge in the challenge mode in order to unlock its hybrid, where combining Shamina, Sharpshooter, and Aqua Aloe will create this said fusion. A pretty powerful plant that can lob 50 damage projectiles, and it can lob ice blocks when taking in energy to inflict higher damage and chills. The ice gift box might be the most useless plant ever though. You place it down and it will spawn in a random plant, but in ice? I mean, why would you want to spawn a plant in an ice block? Especially when the 100 Sun gift box does the exact same thing, but it's not in ice. Day 8 introduces the Spruce Ballista. He's an upgrade stemmed from 2 Spruce Sharpshooters. It can shoot 80 damage pine needles that can pierce not just one target, but 2 at the same time as well. When a pine needle hits a zombie, it can create an explosion that deals another 80 damage around a small area. As you can see, this guy is ballistic. Level 9 isn't any usual conveyor level though. No. It's an entire boss, where you fight the Iceberg Executrix Memk Alpha. Yeah, a long name, and also a long boss. She's a high health, purgatory type zombie that has many abilities, and they are pretty annoying. So you're gonna have to lock in for this said boss. You'll be losing a lot of plants. It has a slash attack as soon as it enters that can damage all plants in front, as well as releasing 5 snowballs around her lane to deal 3x3 aerial damage. On top of that, it can continue to slash throughout lawns or launch ice swords forward. It can even summon blizzards. You'll have to depend on a lot of bam block and Snow Lotus fusions to block these said slashes, as they'll be able to demolish most of your plants if you don't play your cards right. This level was super stressful. It was one of those levels that you had to stop everything you were doing and think about nothing but whatever was filling your screen, as so much goes on at once. It's pretty challenging and quite unique. And as you viewers know by now, I do like when a level feels unique. This is a good extra world overall. I like this chapter and I hope there's more later on. And just when you think that PVZ Fusion has a lot to offer, there's 3 modes apart from Adventure that you can play. TD mode, The Abyss, and Odyssey. TD mode I consider the most unique out of the 3 purely because it breaks the usual formula that PVZ follows. It's a tower defense map similar in vein to Bloons TD Battles format. It's very different. The zombies follow a set path, while the plants have to be placed around them and not on set paths, unless you're a sun mine or a certain defense plant depending, compared to the straight lawns in a usual adventure mode. You cannot use normal, basic plants anymore. Only fusion plants. Like how stage 1 starts with Sun Shooter, then you can unlock Bright Shroom, and then Cherry Bomb, and then Pea Shroom, and so on. There are many ways to collect sun, whether it's using Sun Shooters, Bright Shrooms, Sun Mines, or Sun Shrooms, but also using a new gimmick, the Sunflower Statues. They work pretty much identical to Gravestones with 600 toughness, and once destroyed, they'll drop 100 sun, though they switch to Sunshroom Graves once it's nighttime. There's not just a new gimmick though, but a TD exclusive plant as well. The Drippy Pitcher. It's a simple plant that will lob droplet shells every 3 seconds within 2 tiles in 4 different directions. Each shell does 40 damage each, so it's pretty effective in the lawn. There are 3 chapters to this game mode, not the usual 5, consisting of day, night, and pool. Though, I think it's because it's a work in progress. It stops at day 21, which I don't think it's supposed to, but I'm excited to see what's next for this TD mode. My favorite part is the upgrade system. I didn't bring it up, but when you click on a plant, you're able to use sun to upgrade them. Starting with a basic upgrade, then you're able to pick 1 out of 2 upgrades. It depends, it's typically either an increase in attack speed, damage, etc. Overall, I really have nothing bad to say about this mode. If you want a break from the normal structure of Plants vs Zombies, this is the best mode for that. The Abyss is pretty difficult. It's interesting, but it's difficult. You're in for a challenge. The Abyss mode involves a lot of levels, hard ones. The game is stuck in the are you sure difficulty, so you need to act smart. And smart, I am not. This is one of the harder challenges. It's actually so overwhelming that if you don't have the right strategy, forget it. And even if you do have a consistent strategy, the level after, since each level is different, whether it's a normal daytime, roof, snow, or a volcanic beach, might inconvenience you. Each time you beat a level, you have the option to choose modifiers. These modifiers are all different in their own ways, whether it upgrades a certain type of plant, hypnos, jalapenos, etc., or a general modifier that can increase attack, speed, etc. You're gonna need these, trust me. There's modifiers for the zombies too. Sometimes they have more toughness or stronger damage. I think zombies are tough enough as the game really fills your lawn up, and you will lose a lot of strategies and plans as they will hit you with zombies that you might not be able to counter at the moment, and boom, there goes your entire lawn, and you have to depend on instant kills and a whole different set of plants. Yeah, you will lose your mind playing Abyss. It's very extreme, and it takes a certain type of player to play it. You can also unlock skins from there as well though. It's mostly Odyssey skins unfortunately. I'm hoping they make more in the future. The Odyssey mode is the same way. I'm gonna make an entire separate video for Odyssey as this is the part where it gets crazy. It's pretty much PVZ Fusion, but insane. It's a much harder mode with much harder zombies and crazy looking plants. And that is PVZ Fusion. It's clear there's an endless amount of things to do in this game. The level design is great, when I want to be. The fusion types are eccentric in their own ways, with great consistent designs, and more. That's about it guys. Trust me, the Odyssey video will come. See ya.